Is it a skill issue to not enjoy playing against warstriders, or perchance they break the status quo for automatons and don't have meaningful enough weak points? It's the latter, and it's not even close. We'll break that down in this video, comparing them to Hulks, faction striders, and the automaton faction as a whole, because it's pretty easy to see what the problems are. We'll begin with the warstrider breakdown. You've got 2 bunker turrets that have interleaving shots firing 4 blasts each for a total of 8 rounds in a very short time frame, and these can ragdoll you from distance, partly because they're bunker turrets. The other thing is that explosions are currently bugged, I think, and they have a larger radius. They do have a large radius, but I don't know if it's a bug or not. It could be the dev's intention. It's hard to tell, dude. They do some interesting stuff in terms of balance. You got grenades on the back. These are meant to get you out of cover and flush you out. That's fine. They do get fired pretty often, and there's a bug right now where you can't hear them go off in the first place because warstriders are causing a lot of issues in the game. Their last attack is a stomp. They can miss you by a decent margin and still ragdoll you. But this also applies to the Flame Hulk's chainsaw arm as well, so it's not a unique feature to it. The attack pattern you can expect from one warstrider at mid-range to long range is a variation of 2 sets of bunker turret blasts, which is 8 shots each, and a grenade volley. These all have a second between their firing, and then you get 4 seconds rest until the next one happens. So you may be asking yourself, if that's the case, it must be pretty easy to take down. And the answer is kinda. It depends on what you're using. I'll be using Railgun and Senator to compare the time to kill for Hulks, warstriders, faction striders, and even scout striders. But before I do that, check out some stickers down below. We got Wilburs, Meat Bobs, Billy Bobs, and Movement. $8 global shipping. I'll begin with the Railgun on a Hulk. 1 safe shot to the visor, and they're dead. That's a skill shot. It's fun to do, and it gives you the ability to handle multiple Hulks at one time. And to branch off a bit, you can also do 2 shots with AMR, 2 shots with autocannon. There's a lot of things you can use to kill them quickly. Factory striders have many weak points. One of the better ones is the furrows and indentations on the front and side of the face. These are weak to heavy pin. You can also one-shot them using a recoilless rifle, and combine EAT 17 or a Quasar shot with an unsafe railgun and kill it as well. This gives you a lot more opportunity to just use different stuff and even work as a team. Then you look at the warstrider, which spawns a lot more often, and the eyeball on that thing is purely cosmetic. In fact, the truest weak spot is nowhere near the upper body, and instead it is the joint, the point between the legs and the jondals. That thing, it requires heavy pin still, and takes a lot of damage. Railgun requires 3 safe mode shots or 2 unsafe shots at around 80% charge. There's one major difference between the joint compared to the visor and the eyeball for factory striders, aside from just limiting overall variety and fun. It's that you can't see it that well from distance. What's that about? You legit can't see it during dark missions that well, and even during light ones, if it's too far away, maybe even 100 meters, good luck, and you have to land multiple shots to kill it. Because Railgun's one of the faster time to kills for weapons that aren't pure anti-tank. Good luck using the autocannon, especially with the scope that doesn't do a whole lot for you, and going in third person, where now in third person you're pivoting between the joint and the jondals, or the legs and the jondals, because of how third person aiming works. And plus I can snipe Hulk visors from Narnia, like probably 200 meters away. I'm taking out Hulks consistently with Railgun. And another big difference is that Hulk visors can be shot from a perpendicular angle. You can be on the side of it and hit the visor because it sticks out a little bit. The skill issue has become tangible, my good sir. EAT 17, Quasar cannon, and recoilless rifle or thermites kill the warstriders. You can kill 2 Hulks, almost 3, in the same time frame it takes you to kill 1 warstrider. And oftentimes, warstriders replace Hulks somewhat 1-to-1 in certain scenarios. Patrol usually has 1 Hulk, maybe 2. Now it has 1 warstrider. A POI has a few Hulks, now it has a few warstriders. Does this guy not have recoilless rifle unlocked or something? There's a clear difference in killing these enemies. But what about picking off pieces? You can break the limbs on Hulks using 2 safe shots. That goes for the legs, the arms, or 1 unsafe shot. And in doing so, you can go for the rocket arm or flamethrower arm on the corresponding Hulks, and they're way less powerful. Break a leg, they can't sprint. Instead, they can only walk. If you break both legs, they're now dead. Warstriders have 4 weapons. You can break the bunker turrets in 2 safe shots or 1 unsafe shot. Do be warned that one of these guns being active is more oppressive than a Hulk having all of its weapons. Or the grenade launcher. They're harder to hit, but they require less damage to take out. And I mean, they're pretty tough to hit from the front. If it's not using grenades, you can't really see the grenade launcher. And the limbs, or the legs, those require 3 unsafe shots or 5 safe shots. The Automaton faction has maintained very good weak point design up until the warstrider. There's 2 other caveats, one being rocket striders on release. They did not have the rockets being breakable to kill them quickly. And you still have the issue where bunker turrets and other enemies on automatons don't have proper heat sinks that mean anything. They're there visually, but they don't do anything. That being said, they still have far better weak point design across the board. And this means you can use more things in the arsenal and actually have a good time. Not just win missions, but enjoy your time playing in the game. And this is because of the good weak points. Take tanks, for instance. You have medium pen on the back of their base and tank turret, meaning you can kill it with various primary weapons. Purifier destroys it, Scorcher destroys it. They're fun. And if you're not facing them from front, you can get creative. Use grenades. Skynade using impacts and kill it in 2 regular impact grenades if the fuse time isn't long enough. Then you've got Hulks. Their heat sink on the back is not a great weak spot, but it's something. If you're behind it using a volley mode on ultimatum, it's a one tap. If you're in the front, if it's facing you, you can toss grenades or use explosive weapons and hit beneath his legs behind it. Just right, you'll explode the heat sink. I'm not saying it's an amazing weak spot in that sense, but it gives you more creativity. You can have more fun playing in the game. That adds so much to the experience that people do not, they don't take advantage of it. They take it for granted instead. And then you have factory striders. You can break the chiniguns using medium pin weapons. Explosive resist though, so grenade launcher can't destroy those apparently. And get underneath it and destroy the undercarriage using a medium pin weapon as well. Will you always be able to do that? Kinda, yeah. I do it all the time. Break the chiniguns, and all they have left is the tank turret on top. You get close enough, it can't hit you. And they're spawning minions. And even in level 10 missions, I do this, by the way. So, you factor in warstriders, what can you do? Aside from get ragdolled into oblivion and crutch on thermites and anti-tank weapons. I've been using Railgun, but it's not as fun on those guys. I forgot about the big iron. You can kill a Hulk in 3 shots using Senator to the visor. And for warstriders, it is 13, maybe more, rounds to the joint. That is not fun. That is not skillful. That is absolutely boring. And I bring this up because before warstriders, and before they made sway worse in the game, you could take Senator against automatons solo, and that was your only primary. Granted, they also increased patrol spawns, so maybe in the current state of the game, even before warstriders and sway nerf, it would be rough, but you can still do it. But when you factor in warstriders, you lose the option. The faction that rewards skillful players with precision gives you an enemy that does not reward skillful players that are precise. How is that not a problem? And then you look at how warstriders don't get affected by gas, at least not the spear gun. If I spear gun a Hulk and I miss and don't kill it in one shot, which you can, it is still confused. Whereas a warstrider, all you can do is stagger it, which is useful, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. It's strange that that enemy has less weaknesses than the Hulk, is more deadly than the Hulk, and takes longer to kill. Meanwhile, they're kind of buddies. They're kind of like, they're roommates. They're very close to the same thing in a sense, because they spawn, their spawn rate matters. The spawn rate of an enemy is very much so tied to how deadly, or at least how deadly and how tanky they can be. You can change those. Those are like on a scale, and you can raise one and lower the other, but they have to both, they can't be conjoined. You cannot raise them both at the same time. That does not make any sense. You cannot have high spawn rate, high tankiness, high deadliness, and be impervious to more forms of CC. And those all raise. There's no give and take. And don't forget the extra large serving of I can't play the game when you're getting ragdolled into oblivion. That's warstrider in a nutshell. Now, how do you fix it? How do you make it more fun to play against? I'd say it's pretty simple. Now, what people are suggesting is to give it a heat sink on the back, which it would help, but I don't think that's where they should stop. Make it so the eye on the front or the very top little visor thingy, those two things should be a weak spot that you can kill with maybe a little bit more damage than is required to kill a Hulk. So I'm saying an 80% railgun shot, preferably 2 or 3 shots from AMR, 2 or 3 shots from autocannon, and the joint should be lowered to medium armor, maybe light. I don't know. Just make it to where it's not as scuffed as the Scout Strider legs. Those things are light armor all of a sudden, but they require twice the damage to be broken as opposed to the Jondals, even using a medium pin weapon. Senators, 2 shots of Jondals, it is 4 to 5 on the legs. That's not a meaningful weak point because the breakpoints are so scuffed. That would make the enemy more fun to play against, while also reducing the ragdoll radius. That way you now have an enemy that isn't as tanky, but still serves its unique purpose. Just do anything to bring warstriders more in line with how automatons are meant to be designed. You have proper weak points that give players agency, that way they can solve problems creatively, and that creates skill expression. That is what makes the faction so freaking awesome. You have precise aim that can shine for once across every enemy essentially. Don't let warstriders ruin that.
I signed you up for Cobras Anonymous, brother. The skill issue has to get solved somehow. Hope it helps.
I made a poll asking folks, are warstriders properly designed? Is it bad or good game design? Overwhelmingly, folks said bad game design. And they had to specify. They weren't talking about the way it looks. Artistically, it's phenomenal. The way you kill it looks great. But we're not playing a movie. We're not playing a art museum. We're playing a video game. And they said, it looks good, but it's not fun to play against.
They're only saying that because they're certified cheeks at the game, my good sir.
You cannot begin to comprehend the mind of a glaze diver. It's a skill issue. Just use the most skillless way to kill warstriders. Close your eyes, toss a thermite, land it anywhere, and it dies. Aim for the largest areas, the broadside of a barn, so to speak, with anti-tank, and take it out. If you can't do that, you're just bad. People have gotten to a point where they're adapting to a game that has otherwise not good game design in some instances. Instead of saying maybe it should improve, it should make more sense, be more fun to play, it's a skill issue if you don't have fun playing it, regardless of if you can play against it or not. I'll never understand how I can do the things that I don't like, and I talk about it, and it's a skill issue that I don't like it. That doesn't make any sense. How that's a comprehension issue, either on my side or the folks saying it's a skill issue. Like one of us is not comprehending what's happening because I'm doing the content, in some cases the very unfair content. That isn't the problem. It's just not particularly fun. We've gotten to a point that people like games that are arbitrarily difficult because that dilutes the player pool and makes them seem better because they have less competition. These are not the folks that games should cater to. And I'm telling you, I get passionate because the game that I used to love is dead, partly because it listened to a bunch of Muppets. In this game, I call them glaze divers. In that game, I call them trial nerds.
You might not be total buns, but the game isn't made for you, my good sir. Pack it up, brother.
Helldivers 2 was always meant to be a grunt fantasy. The devs made that very clear. But since inception, it hasn't achieved that goal, and instead it's been a power fantasy with grunt elements. And that is working so much better, because it's actually fun to play. You have the glass cannon approach. You die in dumb ways. It's hilarious, but you can still do ridiculous stuff. You are the main character that just has a few more respawns than most main characters get. And that's fine. Like, that's enjoyable. That's what makes the game fun. They can make it both challenging and fun to play. Those can coexist, I promise you. And that's the game I'm trying to play. That's the game I think most folks are trying to play. And that's why I don't get that we can't just, I don't know, make enemies make sense. Anyway, enough on the video game. Make sure you're getting enough water, getting some good sleep, going for walks, going to the gym. Just make sure you're living your life. Because you can have a good day, but I want y'all to have a good life. Thanks for watching.